Welcome to another episode of Home Sweet Home. My name is Rod McCall.
And I'm Scott Nichols.
Dude, what's going on?
Well, I've been working on the sound for our podcast.
Ooh, yeah.
And so I'm hoping we've made some changes, and I'm hoping that it's better today. So
okay,
keep on listening, people. We're gonna see if we've got a solution here.
Yes, please, and send us an email. Let us know how we're doing.
Thank you for letting us know. Those of you that have, we
yes,
appreciate hearing. We want it to be a good listening experience for you. We know you're listening in your car a lot, so
yeah. So please.
Hey, so last week,
yeah,
we talked about some things about being, what did we talk about? We talked about these 9. We started talking about 9 questions, right, about being emotionally secure.
Yes, and we're I guess we kind of I guess maybe a little back or just a fresh refresher.
So maybe we could just read the questions that we talked about.
Okay. Well, because these were put together.
Sum it up real quick, and then we'll move on. Right?
Yeah. Well, this is put together by a board-certified psychologist. Her name is Dr. Courtney Warren, who is from Harvard, or it works at Harvard. But what I didn't realize until I investigated this gal a little more, she actually got her PhD from Texas A&M University. Go Aggies.
Wow.
So she's a Texas gal.
Okay.
All right. So I guess that makes her, more believable?
Sure. I mean, if you're a Texas A&M person.
Yeah.
Anyway, I am not, but.
No, neither am I. But since we do both.
But we are both in Texas now, so.
Yes.
You have to become a Texan when you move to Texas.
Well, I resisted for a while, but.
Nah, I bought the boots. I got myself a pickup truck. I got a hat. I'm all in.
True. I did have a hat when I moved here. Had a truck when I moved here. But yeah, I got the boots and yeah.
Of course, we're in the Dallas area, so that's not as much of a thing here as it might be in East Texas or West Texas. But
no.
Because there's a lot of us here who are from everywhere else.
Fair enough. All right. Well, okay. You mentioned going over what we talked about last time. So we talked about, can you listen if you're emotionally secure with yourself? Can you listen to other or different perspectives that you might disagree with? And
we said that was kind of tough.
It was, right? Especially, anytime we get talking politics or school finance, with school vouchers and all that stuff. So, yeah.
And then we talked about setting healthy boundaries.
Yeah.
Right? So can you set those healthy boundaries with the people around you?
True.
At work, at home, friends, all those people, right?
And
which we said was difficult as well.
Oh, yeah. But if you can, all right, you're going to do better all the way around. And then the one that we both kind of hem-hawed around that maybe we do, but is exceptionally hard, and that is, can you admit when you were wrong?
And I think I said that this was really easy because I'm never wrong, so it's not a problem. But I guess that means I have a problem.
Well, I was married to a gal who swore she never made mistakes.
Right.
But, hey,
those things happen, right? We've got a lot of adults out there doing that, including me sometimes.
Well, yeah, I hate to admit it, but I try and be, especially if I screw up in the classroom or I share wrong information, I try and tell the kids, hey, look, wait a minute, I made a mistake.
Right.
My bad.
So then we got to, right, do you know your core values and beliefs, right? Are you centered on that, and is that instructing your life?
Yeah.
And
those I think take a while.
Yeah.
I mean, we explored that pretty good, but I think if you can figure out what it is you believe and hold fast to that, then it helps drive away the people that are trying to suck you down or bring you down. And
age often has a thing with that. Like we're both in the decades that are, kind of more than halfway there. Yeah. So, we have a little bit of a better understanding. But,
is that a polite way of saying that we're old?
Oh, well, we know we are.
I feel it when I get out of bed. That's for dang sure.
So then we had, can you express negative emotions respectfully?
Ooh, yeah.
And I think we had a tough time with that one as well.
We did. But I do like, and this is where I benefited through the divorce group, is using I statements, being able to say, hey, this is how I felt. This is what I heard you say. I don't know that that's exactly what you said,
right?
But this is what I heard, and this is how I felt. And when you are able to use those kinds of statements, it makes it easier for the other person to hear and not automatically put up that wall of, oh.
Right. And that took us back to that common thing that we're always talking about, which was, understanding, listening to understand, right? Rather than listening to respond.
Yes.
And so that's a big deal. But then there's still 4 more of these things.
That is true.
And so that's kind of what we wanted to tackle today. And I think this next one is like super hard. So
yeah,
it's so hard. I'm going to let you do it. And then I'll tell you what I think about it.
Well, that's very nice of you to set me up to knock me down. All right. So,
well, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen.
Okay, fair enough. Well, thank you. All right. That's what I heard. All right. So this one here is basically saying, can you take criticism from others?
Oh,
meaning,
ouch.
Can you receive constructive feedback and accept it for what it is without automatically putting up a wall or rejecting it, saying, oh, you're just trying to attack me. You're trying to belittle me. You're trying to undermine me. You're trying to sabotage me.
So I want to just say that there's a difference between a constructive criticism,
okay,
and a criticism.
Okay.
Right.
Do tell.
Like, if you were to tell me that I was super fat and I need to lose weight, that's not a very constructive criticism, right? Like the way you're saying it wouldn't be constructive. It's a negative, all kinds of negative connotation, right?
Okay.
But if you said, hey, so I've been really into some healthy meals, and I wonder if you're interested in some of these healthy meals that I've been doing. It's been really helping me, and I just wonder if that's something that you want.
Yeah.
Because I noticed you've been saying that you were having some trouble with weight loss. Right.
Okay.
That's a different discussion instead of just like, hey, you're fat.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And I think that this plays out a lot on social media.
Yeah.
Right. Particularly with females a lot.
Okay.
And that's troublesome to me. But we don't have to take the bad criticism.
Okay.
Right. We don't have to accept that.
Okay.
But we should accept constructive feedback.
So you're here at work. Okay. Maybe I did it wrong, but we had a guy who he's our diagnostician.
Okay.
And he works with talking with the kids, testing the kids, doing a lot of private consultation and work with them.
Sure.
Okay, so he takes the kid, and his office is a small little office, no windows. Door doesn't have any windows in it either.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he goes into this room. There's no one around, but it's him and a teenage girl, and he shuts the door.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I understand for privacy's sake, but I mentioned to him a day or two later, when I saw him, I said, hey, I'm not trying to be mean, or I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I said, I just know as a guy teacher who's been doing this for a while, it might not be the best to to go into a room with a teenage girl and shut the door where it's just you and her.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I know you got privacy issues and you're dealing with, testing and stuff like that. But I said, I just don't want, I would hate to see somebody get into trouble, because of some kind of false allegation.
Right. And to be fair, it would be the other way around. Right. I mean, we've spent years in teaching, and I'm never in the room alone with a student of the opposite sex.
With the door closed.
With the door closed. It just never happens because I feel like that's an invitation to accusation. Not that I don't trust the student.
Right.
It's just a general rule.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I mean, I would take that.
I mean, I hope that.
But I think female teachers do the same thing, right? Like they don't want to be in a room with a male student alone either.
Yeah.
So, because you don't know, there's lots of stuff out there where people are accusing people of things all the time, and you want to protect yourself against. So I think that's a fair constructive criticism.
Well, I hope it was taken. I don't know. I don't know the guy. He's new this year, so I don't know. But I mean, I think it is hard for any of us to take criticism, but I think you're right in the way that you broach the subject.
Right.
It is a good, and now that you're moving into administration, we got to do evaluations, and with those evaluations comes suggestions on what you can do better. And I think if they're new teachers, new to the district that you're in, or new to or whatever job you're in, if you're brand new to the job, all right, or new to the company, I think it's easier to take criticism. But if you're dealing with somebody that's been with the company for many years, been doing the job for many decades, I think that would make it hard to figure out, okay, how do you provide constructive criticism?
So, yeah, I mean, I'm thinking that, if you're in a role at work or even as a parent at home, right, like taking a coaching role is always a great thing.
Yeah.
Right? Because people don't like to be told what to do.
Mm-hmm.
But coaches typically come alongside and nudge you in the right direction.
Okay.
And that's where I see constructive feedback.
Okay.
Let me just nudge you in the right direction.
Okay. Well, I like to think that I can take constructive criticism.
I think you do.
But I know that it's hard, and I know that it has taken me a long time to feel comfortable in myself, to be able to go or to accept that, you know what, I can do better.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I've seen you put up with me, at least one other person who does, says particular things. So
okay, fair.
Right.
Okay.
So I'll move on to another one.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So number 7 here that we were looking at is, do you continually strive to change and grow?
Ooh.
And so this is a good one. And this is one that's hit me lately.
Okay.
Right. And part of it's because I'm back in college doing a graduate program. But part of it is because for a long time, I just cruised. Right.
Okay.
I was just like, what I do it well. I can just do it, and I can whatever.
Yeah.
Right in my life, and it was just easy, but it wasn't fulfilling. Right. And so, and what I found is that as I jump back into like a graduate program, I'm researching things all the time.
Yeah.
And this year, I got myself a goal to read 24 books this year, so that's 2 a month.
Wow.
And currently it's, we're in September. And I'm about to be at 23.
Oh my gosh.
Right. So I'm 1 away from my year goal.
Okay.
And so I'm hoping I may actually make it to 30.
Good grief.
And boy, have I learned a lot of stuff.
Okay.
Not just like empirical data, but like things about me. Things about me having to do with finances, because I read a lot of economics books. Things about me having to do with, right now I'm reading a book about anxiety.
Okay.
Which I didn't think I actually had. But as I learn about anxiety, maybe I have a little bit of it.
Okay.
And so I'm kind of understanding it better. Things about use of social media. Things about use of digital devices in general. Stuff about history.
Yeah.
And I read a whole book on Lewis and Clark, so I get a better understanding of the historical perspective of where we're at, because that's part of my job too.
True.
And so, like, I've read this wide variety. There's been leadership books, and I feel like I'm just learning a ton of stuff. And so that's really helped me.
Okay.
And the question here: do you continually strive to change and grow? talks about emotional security, right? Like the most emotionally secure people have an appreciation for journey of life and the process of evolving over time. And I feel like I'm a better person today than I was 6 months ago.
Okay.
And I'm more emotionally secure today than I was 6 months ago.
Okay.
Because I've got like a new appreciation for things. I'm learning something new all the time. And I love it.
I agree with you. I mean,
you're
I've
on
noticed
the tail end of your graduate program.
Yes.
And we've talked a lot during that time about your stuff.
Oh, absolutely. And okay. Speaking of, books, I read one by Viktor Frankl, Finding Your Meaning. Yeah. And this is a guy that's, he was a psychiatrist that was put in Auschwitz.
Right.
And survived. And he talked about, people that can have a reason why.
Right.
Are able to do much better in life. When you lose your reason why, or you lose your sense of direction for your life, that's usually when you give up.
Right.
That's usually when things go south. I read another one on why zebras don't get ulcers. And it was talking about, stress and anxiety that we all have.
Right.
So I agree with you, and I thoroughly love, and I'm with you. I've always strived to read more.
Right.
And I love to read.
I have not.
Oh,
right?
really?
I mean, I said the other day, I was telling my wife about this. We were talking about this, and I said, people need to read more. And she goes, well, you didn't used to read. And I'm like, you're right. I didn't. I'm just saying.
Really?
That's my experience, is that I feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that's, losing weight and all those things.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I feel like the learning that I'm doing from reading is actually like making me feel better and want to do the weight loss thing more. I mean, and the other day I crossed my goal. I'm down 61 pounds in a year.
Fantastic.
So I got down 61 pounds. I've read 23 books almost.
Yeah.
And I'm learning a ton of stuff, and I'm loving it. And even the podcast, like doing this over the last year. I mean, we're studying things and we're talking about it, and I'm learning a lot of things.
Which is, I think that brings freshness to your life. Like you were saying, instead of being on autopilot, you're discovering new things. And as I think we discover new things as we explore beyond our comfort zone, then it provides more excitement. And we aren't just, stuck on autopilot. Or, I mean, we did a podcast a while back about being stuck in park. Well, by doing the stuff like what you're saying, challenging yourself to strive and grow, to change and grow, then I think that... and
I don't even think it matters what you read or what you're learning.
No.
Just that you learned something.
Yes.
And so... I think that's important. Like, we look at social media, and our entire job, like our profession that we currently have, has us diving into politics.
Yes.
Right. And I mean, I teach economics too, but that's just policy.
Yeah.
Right. That's what we're looking at. So it's still politics.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, I could be super depressed. Right.
Yeah.
If I just dove into politics all day and played the keyboard warrior thing on social media. But I can put that aside and just be like, I want to learn something else.
And that's fun.
And it helps me understand the politics better too.
If you understand the history behind what's going on, you understand that what's going on has already happened before. We've survived it before. We will survive this. It's not the end of days like some like to profess.
Right.
And no matter what happens, we'll make it through, and life goes on.
And you learn things even along the way that, open your mind up to some things and just realize that, both candidates are lying. Both parties are lying. Nobody's telling you the complete truth.
No.
And so it's okay, right? Like you're going to pick somebody to vote for, and that's fine. But like, if I'm learning other things, I'm a better person. I'm a better person in my community. My community is better for me being there.
Yes.
That's what's important, right?
Couldn't agree.
So.
All right. Well, then here's the next one. Can you stop yourself from reacting impulsively?
What do you mean?
Well, all right.
I walk through the store and they have those end caps.
Yeah.
Whatever's on it, I grab it.
Okay. Well, I think that's not what they're talking about.
Okay.
So go ahead and pick your stuff. But
those are there for impulsive buyers.
Oh, that's why they're, little kids are always screaming, "Mommy, mommy, mommy."
But yeah, that might not be the reaction they're looking for.
No. In this case, I think they're talking about, somebody says something, and I think this goes back to one we talked to, or, one of the other ones about constructive criticism. When somebody says something, how do you react? Does that wall automatically go up and you automatically deny? Do you automatically respond negatively?
Right.
And I think that's what they're saying here. And I will admit that too often I react impulsively. I have a class that they are mute. I got 28 kids and
teenagers that don't want to talk. Oh, that's amazing, right?
You would think 28 in the classroom, you could get at least a dozen. All right, 2 or 3 maybe not talking is one thing, but the whole class. I mean, right. I get on them. I'm going, come on. I get more response out of the city morgue than I do from you guys.
Wow.
And they kind of, I don't get it.
Now, I just want to say, I don't think you've actually been to the city morgue, but.
No, but I've been to a cemetery.
Okay.
And there's more liveliness in a cemetery than this class.
Wow.
But I sometimes I got to remember, look, when they're not talking, you know what to do. You know how to get them to talk. Stop just reacting and pivot and try something that works. And so when I do, then it's kind of like, okay, now we're back. Now we're getting the conversation and discussion and the learning that I'm looking for.
It's awesome.
I mean, I used to do this with Eric's mother. She would come at me with both barrels, and my wall would go up, and my defenses would spring into action.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't listen because they're probably in that challenge was something of validity.
Right.
I mean, Sherry does that sometimes because I will admit that there are times where I am excessively lazy, not just normal lazy, but I just don't want to do it.
Sure.
She'll ask me, hey, would you, there's a bag of refuse, a bunch of grass clippings and weeds and stuff. Would you take the bag out to the garbage?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get to it.
Sure.
A week goes by and it's still there, and she's still saying, hey, there have been times where I go, look, I've been busy, dang it. Well, no, I haven't been that busy that I can't take 2 minutes to walk back. So I think that when you can avoid this as much as possible, I think you can be more emotionally secure.
I think the reaction, though, that we're talking about, like reacting impulsively, that can also depend on the quality of the relationship, right?
Okay.
So if I'm in a good relationship with somebody,
okay,
that like you are with Sherry,
yeah,
it's more likely that you're going to not react impulsively, and you're going to listen, and hear and do. Except with the trash.
Yeah.
Right? But in your situation with your ex-wife, at the time coming at you with both barrels, like you'd probably already had enough.
True.
Of her at the time anyway, coming at you all the time.
Yeah.
And a lot of what she was saying wasn't valid.
No, that's
true.
So
I think, I think the relationship, like if it's a good, secure relationship.
Yeah.
Then it's easier to not react impulsively and to listen and sit on it and take whatever criticism or whatever they're saying and take it to heart.
And you're right. I think that there's just days, and I think it's okay if you do have days that or moments where you kind of forget and you do that knee-jerk response.
Sure.
But the question I think maybe this is, and I'm just speculating here, how often do you do it? It's not that you do it. How often?
Well, I mean, and can you stop yourself?
Oh, that's true.
Right. So can I, just before I do it, can I stop myself?
Yeah.
Right. There was a funny thing. We don't usually talk politics, but there was a funny thing from the debate where Kamala Harris almost said something.
Oh,
she
yes.
stopped herself.
Yes,
right?
there's
Can
been
you
a bunch.
stop yourself?
Yes, there's been some memes on social media about that. Makes you wonder what she would have said.
Right. So
would you have to bleep that out?
maybe. I don't know. She definitely had a different opinion. Right.
All right. So that brings us, I guess, then to the final check to see just how emotionally secure you are. And that is, can you trust that you're going to be okay no matter what challenges come your direction?
Wow. See, that one's tough, right? Because you have no idea. I mean, we've seen things happening across the country to other people that, I don't know how I would deal with it. Like, what if you had a family member that died suddenly, tragically? What if you suddenly won the lottery,
Mm-hmm.
or suddenly all your money was stolen from a scam?
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's some extreme things that I don't know.
I think that.
But then there's other things.
True. Having gone through a variety of disappointing challenges that came my way.
I'm surprised you're even sane.
Well, but here's the thing. At the moment shit happens, pardon my language, but when something horrific happens, or
right.
to you, in your world, in your life, it is extremely horrific. Getting fired from a job.
Sure.
Being arrested.
Mm-hmm.
Again, losing family members in tragic ways.
Mm-hmm.
Your ability, you're going, well, I don't know how I can handle that. If you can make it through the moment, and it's okay to lose your marbles, okay?
Right.
But I will say that when I got basically fired from my previous school district, I thought it was the end. And I thought, oh my Lord, because so much of my identity was tied up in being Mr. McCall, the teacher.
Right.
But once I got here, one school year later,
mm-hmm.
I discovered that this is a better place where I am at now, where you and I both work. And I have had more professional success here than I did in the previous two school districts combined.
Sure.
And so once, yes, that was horrible that, that they chose to push me out the door.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm glad they did, because I am in a much better place.
Right.
And I think that while I was super frustrated with going through the divorce, I'm in a much better place with a much better person. And so I think my interpretation of this is that while horrible things may happen to you, if you can make it through, what do they say? When one door closes, another opens.
Sure.
Well, a lot of times that other door that opens can potentially be a whole lot better. You just don't know that at the time.
Right.
But
I think that as you get older, right, those things get easier because a lot more has happened. I mean, I've never had anything happen to me such as you have.
Yeah.
And most people haven't. But I have had, bad things happen, negative things happen in my life. And so the more of those that have happened, the more I'm just like, you know what? I've seen this before.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be able to get through it. Like, I'm going to be okay. It's going to be all right.
I think the hardest part is maybe for young people to realize that whatever the situation is, I've heard kids say, well, my parents will kill me. Well, no, mom and dad
Probably
will not kill you. They might be disappointed. They might ground you. They might even yell at you. All right. But they aren't going to kill you.
Right.
And so if you can accept that, what you did was maybe not the best decision you made, but learn from it, then it'll be better.
I mean, when I was a kid, believe it or not, today I'm a teacher. I teach upper level seniors.
Yeah.
I'm teaching college level courses.
Yeah.
I'm loving it. I'm studying for administration and all those things, right? But when I was a kid, I was suspended from school. I was in detentions. I had Saturday detentions. I was in trouble a lot and I wasn't the best student.
Yeah.
Right. And there were times I got in trouble and I thought that, you think that would be the end of the world.
Uh-huh.
And I've heard kids in my professional life say to me things like, I can't get a B, and they cry, and there's trouble, for whatever's happening. Their friend got mad at them, and it's a disaster. And in 10 years, they're going to be like, that was nothing.
Yeah,
right.
Probably not even in 10 years.
In 10 years after they graduate, they're going to be like, high school was nothing. For the most part, right? Like, that's not going to be like whatever happened to them there. They're like, those are silly things that I was upset about. And so we get the perspective because we move on and bad or worse things happen. And we're just like, oh, that other thing was no big deal.
But it takes time. And I think that is something that it is hard for young people to appreciate that, hey, look, you're only 15, you're only 16, you're only whatever. And it's hard to put that perspective. But if you can get
it is, but we still need to keep encouraging them that this really isn't the end of the world.
No, it's a tragedy.
Going to be fine. And maybe even in 2 weeks, you're going to be like, that's not a thing.
Yes.
So
anyway, I think that that's where our job as adults, our job as parents, is to help our children come to this realization. And because here's the thing, and I'm going to kind of quote this Dr. Warren, being an emotionally secure person not only boosts your mental health, but it gives you the confidence to try new things, to express yourself freely without fear of rejection.
Right.
And the more secure we feel in our skin, the more freedom we have to enjoy our lives while building meaningful and authentic relationships.
Right.
So
I feel like kind of wrapping this up, because this is 2 episodes.
That's true, yeah.
We did 5 questions in one and 4 here. And, the title of this article says, if you say yes to any of these 9 things, then you're more emotionally secure than most people. So, this is a good thing. Like if you can check off one of these as I'm good with that one.
Yeah.
Then you're on your way, right? And you can just pick another one.
Yes.
And if you can just get better with one more, then you're really moving forward towards that real emotional security that most people don't have.
And if you can be, maybe we can get other people we can share this and more folks can discover that they themselves can be more emotionally secure.
Absolutely.
Well, then I guess we'll let the people off and do their job.
All right.
Well, then I guess until next time, I'm Rod.
I'm Scott.
Bye.
Bye-bye.